was just 18 years old when this happened. On my first St. Paddy's Day as an adult, the girls and I went out for drinks, dressed in green, and partied past midnight. I couldn't have asked for a better time with them, but eventually, we had to go home. Being responsible, we took the train. The streets were already dead by the time we decided to make our way to the subway station. Once underground, we boarded the last train of the night together. We were still lit as we got moving. Each of us lived within walking distance of that same line, but at different stops along the way. Some of us got off in small groups or in pairs, while others left alone, promising to text the group chat as soon as they made it home. One by one, our group dwindled. The train grew quieter, emptier. I was one of the last girls off. I left alone, waving goodbye to the few remaining friends that had stayed with me. The station was a ghost town. I got out of there quickly. I couldn't believe how late we had stayed out. Every intersection I passed was cornered by more empty streets and lifeless sidewalks. And just as I was getting comfortable with the feeling of being so alone, I was not. Close to my apartment, the street was now completely empty except for a single car parked on the curb. The lights were off, but as I got near it, I could hear music coming from inside. It wasn't upbeat music though. It sounded old and out of key. The car was even parked the wrong way, facing me on the same side of the street I was on. Despite everything odd about the car and how dark out it was, I didn't change course. That would only make me cross directly in front of it, which didn't feel any better than walking past it. So I decided to just step a few feet to the side and mind my business. As I walked past the car, the window slowly rolled down. Chills ran down my spine and I started to panic. I averted my eyes and picked up the pace, not wanting to make eye contact. I managed to walk past the car without being catcalled, but then a moment later, I heard the door open. There was no other car on the street. It had to be the same one, but I didn't turn my head to make sure. I just had to keep my cool.
Don't look back, don't engage. You just had a little too much to drink, and they're probably way drunker than you. So just stop being paranoid and...
If I had looked back, I would have seen how close he got and how soon he closed the gap. I just didn't expect it. I never thought people would actually be so evil. My optimism didn't help me. The man kept me silent with a vice grip around my throat and dragged me all the way back to his car. By the time he took me there, I was so close to passing out I didn't have the strength to fight back. He had already overpowered me, and in that state, there was nothing I could do.
Relax, your Uber's here.
Let me go!
Just get in there.
Let me out of here! I'm being abducted!
Shut up! The louder you get, the worse shit I'm gonna do to you.
I don't care! Let me out!
You're already gonna beg for mercy, bitch. Would you rather beg for death?
You're a piece of shit! I hope you crash!
I'll make you wish you never stepped foot outside on St. Paddy's Day.
I was in full-blown panic mode. I couldn't think. I just acted on every impulse. Even though the door hadn't opened the last 20 times I tried, I kept pulling the handle as hard as I could. Suddenly, it gave way. The door opened, and I tumbled out without even trying. I rolled across the asphalt over and over, finally skidding to a stop in the middle of the road. My injuries and the pain that came with them should have knocked the wind out of me, made me sit there in agony. But adrenaline is a hell of a thing. I got up without skipping a beat, then started sprinting in the opposite direction. I ran and ran until I plowed into a random man walking the street. He was drunk and confused, probably almost as scared as I was, but he called the police and ushered me to a 24/7 store where I could be safe. Soon, the authorities came, took me to the hospital to get treated, and wrote down my statement. I gave them every detail I could remember. The man's age, his hair, his glasses, his car, but sadly, it wasn't enough. When he kept going after I fell out of his car, that was the last I ever heard or saw of him. He was never found. Ever since then, St. Paddy's Day triggers this traumatic memory, and at the first thought of going out, my brain forces me to relive this story, the story of how I was almost kidnapped. An 18-year-old woman escaped a would-be kidnapper during St. Patrick's Day weekend festivities on the near north side. The woman was walking on a sidewalk Saturday when a man left a vehicle and grabbed her by her arm shortly after noon. The man placed her in the vehicle, and as the vehicle began to move, the woman opened the door and ran off. The woman ran several blocks north to a Walgreens, where someone called an ambulance. Paramedics took her to St. Joseph Hospital, where she was treated for a panic attack. Police said the woman reported no injuries. The suspect fled in a black four-door Ford. He was about 30 years old and wore reading glasses. Since then, no arrests have been made.